Okay, so I want to speak to what's happening in the world right now, particularly in Israel and Palestine, and nervous system regulation as a Western privileged human being. I think that one of the hardest things about being a Westerner and being in our privilege is the emotional angst and grief of witnessing things like this happening in the world and feeling helpless to be able to do anything about it. That's for those of us who care deeply. And I'm seeing on social media a lot of kind of like shaming around like, how can you look away? Don't look away. If you're not looking, you're not being responsible. And yeah, I mean, I think we collectively need to be aware of what's happening and taking action as much as possible, for sure. Definitely we need to be doing that. And as individuals, it's still our primary responsibility is tending to our own nervous system capacity. The good old saying of if the airplane's going down, before you assist your fellow passenger, make sure you put your own oxygen mask on first. And I know that being in the world as someone who cares deeply and is like deeply sensitive and attuned to feeling the pain and feeling the suffering of the world, I have to be so careful about how much of it I take in on any given day, especially when balancing it with, parenting and work and, feeling the, context of like what's happening here in where I live in British Columbia. Fentanyl poisoning is like a huge issue, and like our youth are dying like friggin' every single day. And so we have major issues here too that we need to address. And if we're not, able to process the information that we're taking in, then it's actually getting stuck in our nervous system, and we're going to end up with, compassion fatigue, or vicarious trauma, basically stuck in our nervous systems. And when that happens, we become less aware. We have less capacity for like our day-to-day, moment-to-moment experience. And I gotta say, like, some of the hardest, worst moments with the people who I love the most, who love me the most in my life, have been when I've done that, when I've taken on too much, when I've overexposed myself beyond my nervous system capacity, and then have like just not been able to handle day-to-day life. And if we're doing that to ourselves, then we're not actually helping anybody. And when we're coming from that place of, vicarious trauma, or like that trauma vortex place, the actions that we're taking in the world are not going to be connected to presence, connected to our hearts, connected to this intuitive sense of right action. Right action that we can access when we are connected to our own hearts and within our nervous system capacity, right? And that is, what we're seeing happening in the world is, in my opinion, it's like the Imperial superpowers, powers that be in the world, are manipulating the unprocessed grief and trauma that is in the nervous systems of the Israeli people, right? To use that to promote this idea of revenge, this idea of like annihilating a people so that you can have your righteous space. And if these people who are taking this kind of action, that are doing this kind of harm in the world, were within their own, nervous system capacity, their own center, they would not be able to commit these kind of atrocities like are happening in the world right now. Because when we're connected in that way, we can't do that. We can't harm another person. And so, let's call our representatives. Let's talk about it. Let's do what we can to put a stop to what's happening in Gaza and in other places in the world too, where there's genocide and, atrocities happening. And let's start at home. Let's start at home, and home being like right here in this body, and tending to ourselves and putting our own oxygen mask on and doing the work to make sure that we're staying regulated, because you are the only person that can do that for yourself. And not to say that you can't get support, we all need support, but you're the only one that can make the decision to tend to yourself and your own nervous system in that way. Okay, love you, blessings, and just really like, I'm with you in this grief and in this, the extreme pain of, what's happening in the world right now, in the suffering. I'm with you, I'm feeling it, and I really appreciate that you're feeling it too. Thank you.